Hello everyone and welcome to the final day of the preliminaries. It's day 3 of the Goldmoney Asian Rapid, and it's Alireza Firouzja versus Levon. Aronian already starting off with an incredible game. So let's just check it out, and then we'll see what else can happen on this great day. So Firouzja with the white pieces opens with e4, and Levon, who is leading the tournament after yesterday, replies with e5. We have knight to c3. Knight to f6, and now bishop to c4. And now, yesterday we said that here you can, just continue development, but sometimes the black even plays knight captures on e4, and it's a very tricky variation. And this is exactly what Levon goes for. He plays knight captures on e4. And you don't want to accept this piece. If you accept this piece, then black can strike with d5, and then he has a double attack, and then black achieved what he wanted. But here we have queen to h5, also known as this entire funny business opening is called the Frankenstein Dracula variation, if anyone's interested. So here queen to h5, now threatening checkmate, and knight to d6. I think we showed this exact line yesterday. So now defending checkmate, and now attacking the bishop. So bishop goes back to b3, bishop to e7, and now queen captures on e5. And now you can see that white doesn't really have any issues here, and black has a weirdly placed knight on d6. But Levon seems to have prepared something exactly for this occasion. So here we have castles, and now d4. And while you want to play rook to e8, it does make sense since the queen and king are both on the e-file. After queen to h5, you don't really have any good discoveries. Wherever you go, doesn't really matter. Bishop f6 check, we're just going to block. This is nicely protected. We're going to castle. Everything is working nicely for us. So here, after this d4 move, we have knight to c6, attacking Alireza's queen, queen back to f4, and now knight to a5, going after this very strong light square bishop. So Alireza wastes a few tempi to save it. We have bishop to d5, knight to e8 by Levon, and bishop to f3 now. So really remaneuvering this bishop. And now there is a game from 2014 Tata Steel Masters that ended in a draw between Anish Giri and Fabiano Caruana. Fabi had the white pieces here, and Anish continued with knight back to c6. But here Levon goes bishop to b4, and it is already as a move 10 that we have a completely new game. So let's see what Alireza can do for this, well, seemingly prepared line, as well, you don't play this line if you didn't come ready. Here you could just continue developing, for example, knight to e2, but then you allow black to play d5, and black is very happy. So here I think Alireza wanted to prevent this, and he played d5 himself. But now Levon eliminates this knight. He doubles up the pawns here on the c file. We have captures, and b6 now. So what's the idea? Well, the knight here on a5, although somewhat weirdly placed, guards the c4 square, so you're not going to be able to just push c4 at any point. Okay, now the queen is guarding it, but the queen will not remain there forever. And you can pile up on this pawn, for example, with the bishop, with the knight, and Levon has some ideas here. And although this is now here, just advancing the pawn doesn't really do anything. We're just gonna play bishop to a6, and this is a dream scenario for black. There are, if you've studied the games of old masters would often sacrifice this rook to keep the white king in the center of the board. So here, if you capture, for example, captures, the queen will capture, and now this is attacked. The bishop will be preventing the king from castling. The knight will move. The rook is coming into the game. It's just not going to be possible to defend this with white. So instead, after b6, just knight to e2. Alireza wants to castle his king to safety. Now comes bishop to a6. We have castles, and now queen to f6. Levon says, okay, my pawn structure is much better. Let's trade queens, and let's just continue this game. But Alireza says, nope, not interested. I'm going to play queen to a4, and now I'm attacking this pawn, as well as now I might be preparing this, as now my king is safely tucked away, so this could become possible. So Levon plays knight to d6. He prevents this pawn from being pushed any further, activates the knight, and gives up the d7 pawn. And Alireza not want to back down from a challenge, accepts the pawn. We have queen captures on d7. Now comes rook 8 to e8. It's not much, but a developed rook for the price of one pawn, it's not bad. And Alireza now needs to be very careful, as danger lurks everywhere, and he plays bishop to e3. Now there's a double attack on the knight, so you need to figure out how to defend this knight. knight. You can't really move it because then bishop captures on f1, you lose the exchange. So you might add another defender here with a move like queen to g4, or you can do what Alireza played. He played bishop to e3. Now the rook no longer attacks the knight, but now there's a problem. There's a move so strong for Levon that it simply completely shatters Alireza's position. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find this incredible move while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on, grabbing your least active piece and doing something with it. Okay, the least active piece could be this rook, but this rook cannot move, so we have to bring this knight. So congratulations to everyone who decided to play knight a to c4. It's such a weird move to play when you're looking for a move that, gives you considerable advantage, but here it just makes sense. Now there's a double attack on this bishop. So what can you do here? Well, not much, again. Bishop to d4 is what was played in the game, and it makes sense. It attacks the queen, but now comes the real idea, knight to e5, which was the idea all along, even if you didn't play bishop to d4. But now, at least after knight to e5, attacking the queen and the bishop here on f3, now you can eliminate this knight. But even this doesn't help you, because if you play bishop captures, rook captures on e5, again, there's a double attack here on the knight, and once you play for example, rook f to e1, we're just going to play rook f to e8, and you will lose. Now, we're just going to pick up the piece, or if you move it, we're just going to win the game right away. And if you don't defend with the rook, if you move the knight, then you have to give up the exchange, and that's enough for black to have a winning advantage. However, after knight to e5, Alireza said, all right, I'm going to go back with the queen. I play queen to h3, and now Levon just eliminates the defender of the knight on e2. He plays knight captures on f3 with check, g captures, and now queen to g5 check as the queen is hanging here. So queen to g5 check, king to h1, and now queen captures on d5. The problem is you don't have time to go piece grabbing, because if you play something like bishop captures on e2, then rook to g1, and then it's black who might be in trouble, because that's really gonna hurt. So instead, what you could do after king to h1, you might consider a move like f6. Yes, this is one of those positions where just playing f6 is the best move. But Levon captured on d5, and now he allowed Alireza for a very, very sneaky idea. Rook to g1, and now Levon played f6. He said, all right, I didn't play it on that move, I'm playing it now, so there's nothing you can do here. However, there is something Alireza can do. We'll see if he did it or not, but feel free to pause the video here and try to find the only move for white that, might even win the game while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on utilizing both rooks and just going through black's defenses. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook captures on g7. And now the point is, after king captures, we're gonna bring the other rook to g1 with check, and now you can't go to f7. If you go to f7, then it's just check, king will move to e6, and knight to f4 is checkmate. So there's that. So the king has to go to h8 and defend the h7 pawn like this, king to h8. But now we bring the knight to f4 with an attack on the queen, and also just threatening knight to g6 check, because this pawn is pinned. So here queen to f7 would be played. Now knight to g6 check, king to g8, and now the very important knight to e5 check, attacking the queen, and the king is still in check. So better just to block with the queen, so at least we grab a rook. So queen to g7, we're gonna pick up the queen with check, king captures, and now you get this position where white is better, but whether it will be enough for a win, it's hard to say. But probably in a rapid game where you can just push for advantage if you have sufficient time. For example, queen g3 check, king h8, and now we can even play queen to f4 to really put some problems towards black, because we're attacking this pawn with the queen. We can play something like knight here, attack the rook, gain a triple attack on the f6 pawn, and of course if this is accepted, then just bishop captures on e5 and we win the game. You can either give up the rook or you can start running away with the king, but it doesn't help. Just check, king f7, we're going to deliver check, king g8, and queen g7 checkmate. So such ideas are in the position after f6. But Alireza trusted Levon. He played knight to f4 first, probably thinking it's pretty much the same idea. I can always play rook captures on g7 on the next move. But now queen to f5. And now it's a little bit different, because now if you capture, king captures and rook to g1 check, king to f7 is possible. Queen is now guarding this h7 pawn, so there's no queen captures on h7. So instead, after queen to f5, we have queen to h6, now just threatening queen captures on g7 checkmate. So rook to f7, Levon defends, and now rook to g3, preparing to double up here on the g file. Levon grabs the pawn on c2, we have queen captures on c2, and now comes knight to h5. Now with a triple attack here on the g7 pawn, but Levon also has a knight. He plays knight to f5, now attacks the rook and the queen and guards the g7 square. So here Alireza has to go for it, otherwise the game is over. Knight captures on f6 with check. We have rook captures, and now rook captures on g7 with check. We have knight captures on g7 and queen captures on f6, now threatening checkmate here. But Levon also has something to say about this. He plays queen to g6 now, defends against checkmate, and Alireza says, all right, let's just play rook to g1. At least after captures, I'm still going to be able to capture on g7, and we play this game. However, there is now one move that Alireza missed, so feel free to pause the video for the third time and win this game for Levon while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always looking for great ways to sacrifice your queen. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's of course rook captures on g1 with check. And it was in this position after Levon played this that Alireza Firouzja resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Or maybe he didn't, or maybe I just thought he resigned here. I will check, however, let me just check real quickly. Yes, it was in this position that he resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is the only move is king captures on g1, and now there's this rook to e1 check, king to g2, and now the bishop comes, bishop to f1 check, and now there's a problem. If you go king g1 or king to h1, you're just getting checkmated with bishop to h3. The king has nowhere to go, and if you go up the board, well, that's the whole point. Then knight to h5 check wins the queen back, and then black is just up a full rook. You're gonna play anything, just knight captures, bishop captures, we're up a whole rook, we're winning this game easily. So really an outstanding game. Levon really came nicely prepared with that sneaky line with knight captures on e4 right in the opening, which is not something you would usually play against a super grandmaster, but here he makes it work. And you know, the entire game was played perfectly. He gave Alireza that one chance. He played f6, one move too slow, but Alireza missed it, and that was all it took. So that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Levon still in the lead after this remarkable win. I think Ding also won his game, so I think it's a shared lead. But you know, the day is still young. We'll see what happens. So once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Andre Sandu, David Kimura, Nigel Holloway, happy birthday Gavin, and Leander Moderson for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this very nice tournament, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.